So when do you use the battery disconnect switch inside of your RV? Before I explain that, let me break down how the switch works. The name is confusing, so let's get rid of the word disconnect and just call it a battery switch. When a switch is in the on position, it's making a connection, and the battery is supplying power to your RV appliances, allowing them to work properly. When the switch is in the off position, it opens the connection, and now your battery is no longer connected to your RV electrical system, and it's not providing power to your appliances. Since the battery is no longer being charged, it will eventually go dead. So now let's look at different situations so you know what position a switch should be in. For the first situation, if you're hooked up to your tow vehicle, towing your RV down the road, or driving a motorhome, the switch should be on. You want it on so the tow vehicle or the engine will charge your RV battery. Second, when you arrive to a campground, when hooking up to 30 or 50 amp shore power, you want the switch to be on so shore power will charge your batteries and allows your appliances to work properly. Third, when you're boondocking without any electrical hookups, you want the switch to be on because your battery will be supplying power to your lights and appliances so they work. Fourth, when your RV is in storage or parked in your yard when it's not plugged into electricity, you want the switch off so your appliances don't drain your batteries. This is what's called a parasitic draw. Fifth, when your RV is in storage or parked in your yard and it is plugged into power like 15 or 20 amp, you want the switch on so your battery stays charged. Sixth, when you're powering your RV from a generator, this will be the same as when you're plugged in at a campground to shore power. So you want the switch on to keep your battery charged and allows your appliances to work properly. Seventh, when your RV is stored and you're using solar panels to keep your battery charged, you would typically want your switch on unless your solar connects to the batteries directly and doesn't go through your battery disconnect switch. This would be the same setup if you are boondocking using your solar panels. Now let's cover some frequently asked questions. Where is my battery switch located? Well, these can be in many places around the RV. They're typically close to your batteries. If you have a towable RV, like a travel trailer, your batteries are in the front of the RV, you could have a switch right by the batteries, or towable RVs, the switch is commonly in your front storage compartment. There's different types of switches. You could have a one with a red lever switch like this, could be a dial switch like this, or there's push button styles. The push button styles are normally on a motorhome, and those are typically located right when you walk into the motorhome and the stairway to your left-hand side. But when they build RVs, they can put these things just about anywhere. So what happens if you towed your RV to the campground and your battery switch was off? If this is off, your battery isn't connected, and things like your slide outs and leveling system are not going to work to set up your RV. The fix is simple. Just turn your battery switch to the on position and those things should start working. But if your battery was completely drained, you'll need to let it charge up for a while before those components will start working again. One of the common questions I get asked is, why does my switch need to be on if I'm plugged into shore power and the lights are working? Even though your lights work, your RV is only running off the converter, which turns 120 volt shore power into 12 volt power. But with the battery switch off, the battery is not in the loop to help out. The converter can't always keep up with the full demand on its own, especially if multiple 12 volt items are running. This will cause intermittent issues and will eventually shorten the life of your converter. And here's a common question I get from motorhome owners. The light is on my disconnect switch, but when I try to start my generator, my lights flicker and the generator won't start. So what happens is the light in the disconnect switch turns on when you're plugged into shore power, but it doesn't actually mean the disconnect switch is in the on position, and this fools a lot of people. When this happens, push the switch to the on position. This is not your typical switch like one of these. This is a push button switch which has a down and an up, which is on or off, but it's a momentary switch. So when you push it, you'll hear a click. That sound means the battery's actually connected now. The light on that switch always stays on, whether it's in the on or off position when you're plugged into shore power. If you want to learn more about how RVs work, you can check out the RV education page on my website for additional resources. And while you're there, you can sign up for weekly emails so you can get helpful tips like this delivered straight to your inbox.